Welcome, everybody. My name is Seth Bush. I am the advocacy manager for Bike Pittsburgh. Just a brief description of what I look like for our friends who might have low or no vision. I'm a white guy, red hair, beard, wearing kind of a bluish shirt today. My background's blurry, but you're in my office. And we are here tonight for our seasonal or quarterly advocacy network gathering. This is a time when advocates from neighborhood advocacy groups and beyond get together from all over the city to learn together, to talk shop, to share ideas, to support one another. And it's a great opportunity for Bike Pittsburgh for us to share about things that we have coming up, opportunities for you to get engaged with. And so glad that you are joining us tonight and part of this conversation, where we are joined by some friends from the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure to talk about some upcoming projects, and some other friends from Michael Baker who are representing PennDOT tonight, talking about the Commercial Street Bridge closure, impacts we can expect from that. But before we jump in, I want to turn it over to our advocacy director, Eric, to say hi and also say just a couple of words about Bike Pittsburgh and what is this advocacy thing that we are up to for folks who might be new. I think we might have a few new faces who popped in here tonight and thinking, oh, I want to learn more. So this is a great spot for you to be. So Eric?
Good evening, everybody. I am Eric Borer. I'm the advocacy director of Bike Pittsburgh. Um, for those with low vision, I am a late 40s white male with glasses and brown hair. Um, Bike Pittsburgh has been around for 25 years now. And we've been advocating for biking and walking, and sometimes transit, and just in general to make Pittsburgh better for biking and walking and to reduce the dependency on motor vehicles. Um, we do that through a number of ways. One of which is these advocacy gatherings. We've been doing these for, I don't know, probably like 15 years at this point, having quarterly meetings of people who care about this issue, to get together to share information, talk about what they're doing in their neighborhood, and just sort of get this is like one of the main ways people can learn about what's going on and get involved. Across the city, we have, I don't even know how many, across the city and the county, I should say, we have a number of what we call bike ped committees. And these are local, hyper-local neighborhood groups of residents who basically work on these issues. Sometimes they're working on things such as just getting a crosswalk in. Sometimes they're working on bigger things like getting a bike lane or working on a neighborhood plan, a whole variety of things. And our job here is to help give you guys the resources and the knowledge and kind of share our experience, to help you do that job in your own neighborhood. Um, I think that sums it up for now. Just try to we can move on and get on with the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. We've got a great agenda tonight. Again, a lot of exciting updates, plenty of time for you to ask questions. I know this crew loves to get in the weeds, and so here's your chance to get a little bit into the weeds. We're going to start with a presentation by our friends at the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, and then we are going to transition over to a presentation and Q&A from folks with Michael Baker. That's a consulting firm that is working with PennDOT on this incredible project to replace the Commercial Street Bridge. I think it's a really cool engineering marvel. It is going to have some pretty major impacts as they put the finishing touches on it. And so we're going to hear a bit about that, have a chance to talk about trail detours, road detours, things like that. Um, a few norms, and then I should say we have some announcements from Bike Pittsburgh. Stick around. We have some exciting events that you will be the first people to hear about, some of these upcoming events and some other news. And if we have time, we'll have an opportunity for folks from your neighborhood bike ped committees just to share very briefly a little bit about what you're working on, if there's any support that you'd like from our community so that we can help you out. A couple of norms, group agreements, we can say for tonight especially important because we have some guest presenters. One is please hold your questions until after their presentation, or you can put them in the chat and we'll save them for after the presentation. Two, if you have something to say when the time comes, please do raise your hand using the button. If you look at Zoom, there's a react with a heart button. You can click that and click raise your hand. Then I will call on you. Please don't interrupt each other or somebody speaking. Please be respectful and disagree respectfully. We love disagreements. We think that's a great way for us to all learn together and build new perspectives. But I think it's obvious that we want to do that respectfully and just be respectful in general. That's never a problem from our group, but it bears repeating since we really value our guests' time so much. And then strive to create an inclusive space that is really welcoming of diverse perspectives and backgrounds. And I think an important part of that is strive to be concise in your comments or your questions. Let's kind of get down to the bottom line as you are sharing or asking questions tonight, so we can hear from a lot of different people and make sure to have good time for answers. Are these things that people can get behind? Give me a quick thumbs up or a little reaction if you can get behind this. Fantastic. We love that. Thank you. Um, Excellent. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Sean Stevens, who's a project manager from the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, and Jan is an infrastructure engagement specialist who you might remember was in the mayor's office last year, has recently moved from the mayor's office into DOMI, the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure, but effectively has the same job communicating about the various infrastructure projects, doing a fantastic job engaging our neighbors at various community engagements. And I should say Sean's doing a fantastic job with neighborhood traffic calming and all sorts of stuff too, but I'll hand it over to him.
Thanks, Seth. Appreciate everyone being here. I'm going to share my screen. Especially appreciate everyone joining us on such a balmy evening, which I'm sure most of us are eager to get outside. So it's nice to have such a group together to go over these updates. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can. You'll just need to hide that little box.
Seems like it's still loading. Okay, yeah.
There it is.
So I'll be presenting our sort of 2026 outlook for the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure on behalf of the city. There's a picture on the screen that shows our newest sort of marquee complete street, which is the Penn Circle two-way conversion. I was lucky enough to work on that project, and also shout out to Vince, who I think has entered into the chat, who was involved in the project alongside with me, and who is now working on Commercial Street. So that's sort of a nice little overlap here. So as mentioned, I'm Sean Stevens, as project manager within DOMI. I'm specifically in the Traffic Bureau, and I handle Vision Zero implementation with a focus on traffic safety and calming. Jan?
I appreciate Seth's intro, so I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, Jan Rather, infrastructure engagement specialist in now the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure. Glad to see so many familiar faces and to get to continue working with you all. Thanks.
So I'm probably going to talk for about 20 minutes or so. So bear with me. And like Seth said, just sort of hold your questions till the end. Feel free, though, to put them in the chat as I talk through some of this. So this is not going to be the entirety of what is happening in 2026. This is sort of just a subset of DOMI's work slate for the year. In order to go through everything, it would take probably 2 to 3 hours. So we're sort of going to highlight some of the planning efforts that have been ongoing or that are upcoming for you to sort of take into the spring, into the summer, to be aware of. Highlight some of the streets projects that are either in design currently or going to construction. And then talk mostly about Vision Zero projects, including bicycle traffic safety and calming projects that are either in design or going to construction in 2026. And then also highlight signal projects that touch on some of the bike facilities in the city that are have the opportunity for feedback or going to construction this year. First up is one of our newest projects, which is the Lincoln Avenue Multimodal Safety and Accessibility Improvement Project, which is quite a wordy title. But this is in the East End in the Lincoln-Leamington neighborhood of District 9. The extents are Atwell Street to Verona Boulevard. So basically, once you cross over Washington Boulevard over that larger bridge and you enter the neighborhood of Lincoln-Leamington, that is where the project extents will start and sort of wind its way up the hill to almost the city line. We applied for a DCED grant, which we were awarded to the tune of $750,000, and that will include planning, design, and ultimately construction. We're first going to kick off planning work, and that's slated to start in the summer of 2026. We're still working through some of the grant agreement and execution of that. And so planning work is forthcoming, and the scope is likely to include a combination of quick build and permanent hardscaping, as well as traffic calming elements and bike connections based off of the Bike Plus plan. Like I said, we have planning, design, and construction money, and we're trying to do most of this as in-house design and use on-call contractors, but sort of the final scope is yet to be determined based off of the planning efforts. So be on the lookout for engagement for this project starting later this year. Next up is another project in planning currently, which is the Shenley Park connector. This was part of a 2026 RAD ask that was funded to do a bunch of work in city parks across different aspects or different locations in the city. I believe it was about $2.6 million total for the entire RAD-funded city parks projects, and almost 50% of that will be dedicated towards Shenley Park. We developed several options sort of to improve bicycle and pedestrian safety and connectivity through the park. And the real focus is on connecting, those park roads, better connections to existing and future projects in Oakland and Squirrel Hill and the adjacent neighborhoods, because not only is Shenley Park sort of used as recreation area and for fun, it's also a big sort of thoroughfare for people that are commuting, especially by bike and walking into Oakland and Squirrel Hill. And so there's additional planning and outreach that is forthcoming with this, and we are partnering with Public Works and the Parks Conservancy on this project. Next up is some streets projects, starting off with East Ohio Street in the north side. I'm sure for the folks that are from the north side or involved in Bike Ped projects, you're intimately aware with this one. We did a multi-phase planning project that not only included the city-owned portion of roadway in the neighborhood, but also the PennDOT portion going from East Street to 16th and Chestnut. We were able to secure funding for the city-owned portion, which is between Cedar Avenue and East Street. And for those that are not intimately aware with the project, the biggest focus is on pedestrian and transit improvements through this corridor. So you'll see things like a raised intersection, a raised crosswalk, concrete curb extensions, as well as bus boarding islands or loading areas, so that we can service both front and back door and really provide a good transit platform through the corridor. What's shown on the screen here is a nice little map of the intersection of Cedar and East Ohio that includes protected intersection elements. There are bike facilities with a climbing lane on Cedar Avenue, as well as East Ohio Street has bifurcated bike lanes that connect to Allegheny Circle, where there are additional protected intersection elements that we did with the two-way conversion project a number of years ago now. So there is an Engage page too that shows all of the past planning work and a really nice sort of detailed view of all of the planned improvements that are in design currently. There was a community meeting earlier in the year during preliminary engineering, and now we're entering final design. And so you can see all of the information and past engagement on this project on the Engage page. So like I said, entering final design this year, and then construction, though, won't be until early 2027. So this one has a little bit more to go, but we are planning on at least one more community meeting, I believe, before we enter construction. So be on the lookout for that.
And I'll just jump in and say right now, all of our feedback on the Engage page is at Cedar and East Street. Would love to see that map get filled in with feedback between those stretches. So the Engage page is in the chat. We've got a tool in there where you can drop a marker. So encourage folks to do that if you're familiar with or use the corridor.
Definitely. Next up is our Critical Sidewalk Gaps program. This one's been around for a number of years with the main mission to fill in large gaps in the sidewalk network to link to essential community resources like schools, parks, transit stops, senior centers. And so we do partner with a bunch of different organizations and other programs for this one, primarily Safe Routes to School, to make sure that the kids that are walking to school can do so, on an accessible open sidewalk. This was established as a program in 2020, and the team has completed over 4.5 miles of sidewalk across the city, which I think is a really great achievement that goes sort of under the radar in the whole slate of what DOMI does. So big shout out to Kyle Potter and Avasek Greenwell, who lead this program and do really, really great work. For 2026, we do have a list of locations developed with Engage pages that are created or forthcoming, so you can see where the planned work is for this year. One note, I think there is one project that's actually like in construction right now on Summerlee Street in the West End, I believe. But like I mentioned, check out the Engage page for this, and you can also see some of the past projects and what that team does. Next up is our transit stop improvement. This is a newer program that was only established last year, and this is run through sort of a partnership between our curbside management and policy folks, as well as streets who do the actual concrete work, and of course working with PRT to locate and fit in the shelter and make sure it aligns with long range planning and whatnot. So this was established in, like I said, 2025 through the capital budget, which funds shelters and sidewalk connectivity and improvements to transit stops. The added benefit, which is really great, is most of the time this improves intersection safety as well, because we're doing curb extensions or boarding islands, which have a nice sort of traffic calming benefit and just overall general life improvement for transit riders. We have 3 proposed locations for 2026 that will be at Shady and Forbes in Squirrel Hill, Center and Graham in East Liberty, as well as Liberty and Edmond in Bloomfield. And what is shown on the screen here is a plan view looking at Liberty and Edmond Street, which I'm showing here because it involves part of the bike facility on Liberty Avenue. The plan is to do a larger boarding island with a raised bike lane, which is very similar to the example that's shown below, which was at Stanton Ave in Negley, which was completed, I guess that was going on 2 years ago now, with the Stanton Ave Phase 2 project, which is a really, really great sort of inclusion of multimodal and safety at the intersection. And so we're trying to mimic the same features across the city, and the next one is Liberty Avenue at Edmond. Each of these locations have an engage page that shows in plan view what the plan will be for the curb extension and the transit improvements. And so, like I mentioned, a lot of these include a traffic calming element with that curb extension and shortens the pedestrian crossing. So it's a really great sort of slate of improvements in sort of a small footprint. Next up is sort of my bread and butter, which is the Vision Zero projects for 2026. I co-manage this with Paige Anderson, who I'm sure a number of you are familiar with. She's another project manager working on these projects. For 2026, we have the capital budget has allocated $1.1 million, which is about the same from last year. So that's really great to sort of maintain that. And this also to sort of funds more than just project implementation, but a couple other elements, which I'm going to talk about. But on the project side of things, we've identified 15 locations and projects to do intersection safety work with targeted improvements towards vulnerable road users. So those are our pedestrians and bicyclists. And that can include things like raised crosswalks, quick build curb extensions, hardscaping, where budget allows, as well as improvement to some of the vertical elements that we use and making sure that we can upgrade those where we can. We also have 8 locations targeted for traffic calming, and so those would be more traditional speed hump and speed tables on our like local residential streets. This program or budget also keeps our vertical element maintenance fund. Also funds our vertical element maintenance, including flex posts, the precast concrete curbs, as well as the rubber curb stops and some of the newer devices like the diverters and turn calming treatments that we've been installing. And then we also have carved out a bit of money for fatal crash response. For those of you that might have attended the Vision Zero Summit last fall, I believe, participated in a panel, and Jan and I are both on the fatal crash response team. And so when a fatal crash, unfortunately and hopefully unlikely, happens, we try to target quick build safety improvements at locations, and now we've carved out money associated with that so that we can respond in a more rapid way and make sure that we have some dedicated funding and resources to do so. Lastly, we also fund our data collection efforts across the department through this, and so that services not only the traffic calming program but planning efforts and some other things to make sure that we have a true picture of what's happening on the street, with the whole goal of reducing crashes and making sure that we can deliver the best projects that we can. My last note here is the first round of the intersection safety and traffic calming projects will be announced very soon on Engage. We just have some final coordination with utilities that we're doing, which has been ongoing, but we're pretty much ready to announce the first round of projects. So this meeting was just right at the edge, and so the locations will be announced quite soon, so be on the lookout. Now moving on to some of our more bike-focused projects. Some of you might recall the Second Ave cycle cycle track connector to link the 10th Street Bridge to the Eliza Furnace Trail. This will be using part of 2nd Avenue and actually a parking authority lot to get you on the trail. Right now it's very disjointed and there's a gap here. Part of the reason this has ebbed and flowed is it's integrated with the Smart Pittsburgh signal projects, which is also known as Smart Spines, to upgrade signal connectivity through 5 major corridors within the city. That will be taking care of some of the signalized intersection components of this project. But the plan is to, using quick build materials and concrete curbs, the precast concrete curbs, do a very small sort of road diet on 2nd Avenue to carve out a bit of space for a cycle track to get you from 10th Street Bridge to the Eliza Furnace Trail. So this is entering design, and then with the aim of construction in 2026. And an engage page is forthcoming as well. Next up is Stanwyck Street, downtown. This is between Forbes and 4th Avenue. Excuse me, it's actually Forbes and 3rd Avenue. And I'm sure many of you who bike downtown have seen some persistent issues with parking in the bike lanes here. And so this project is really aimed at sort of curbing that, which is pun intended, which we want to allocate additional space in the roadway for loading that happens at adjacent buildings to keep the bike lanes open. We're not going to be changing the bike facility at all. There won't be a degradation there. It's mostly reallocating the roadway space and doing a small road diet on Stanwyck Street to accommodate loading. And so we're working with Safe Routes to School and City Charter in that adjacent building on these efforts. And this is the 2026 deliverable as well. Some projects that are carryover from 2025. For those that live in the South Side, I'm sure you know about the South 18th Street project that we did as a traffic safety corridor last year. We were only able to partially install in 2025 due to utility conflicts. As everyone knows, PWSA and People's Natural Gas are seemingly everywhere. And so we try to make sure that we do coordinate with them to make sure that we install things that don't get ripped up in the same construction season. And this was one that we had coordinated. So we were able to install Carson to Crossman, which included the bicycle climbing lane, some of the speed tables, and other intersection elements. But we were not able to install Crossman up the hill to Monastery. So the utility work there is at completion or like very, very near. And so this should be one of our first projects right out of the gate in the spring to finish this off. If anyone is not aware of the project, there's a really great Engage page that shows a schematic of what's been installed and what's left to be installed. And before we enter construction for this final phase, we'll update the Engage page and issue a press release as well. And then a last couple other projects that are carryover, like I mentioned, from utility conflicts or coordination. There's 3 traffic calming projects on Bay Tree Street, Eighton Street in Spring Hill, and lastly, Lorenz Avenue in Elliott. If any of you were involved with the West End Mobility Study, I know Lorenz Avenue was a focus, and so that was sort of a neat little overlap and where we're already kind of targeted for traffic calming on Lorenz as a deliverable. So be on the lookout for those this year. And then there are 2 intersection safety projects that include a pedestrian refuge at Highland and Jackson, and then additional intersection improvements at Murray and Welford in Greenfield that are coming this year as well. Most of these already have engage pages. If you're not familiar, please check them out. And we'll announce construction when they are ready. And then a little bit on traffic signals for 2026. This is a very small subset, to be honest, but ones that I wanted to highlight for this group. Beechwood Linden Wilkins is a full signal upgrade through our capital budget with some grant funding. This has gone through a planning process with a pretty large community meeting, I think end of last year, might have been early this year, that includes some really great protected intersection elements there. And so there's an engage page that has a lot of good materials on what we're planning. And this is going to construction in 2026. We are just wrapping up some final aspects for design and then working through some permitting with PennDOT, as Wilkins is a state-owned roadway. Next up is Brighton Heights Boulevard at California and Terman. And we're working on a complex intersection analysis at this location in Brighton Heights, where we've developed 2 alternatives, one including a realignment of the intersection, and then another with just sort of traditional curb extensions, with the biggest goals of improving connectivity for pedestrians, really, because some of those crossings are quite long. And it's one of our lovely 5-point intersections, which is a bear to navigate for everyone, I think. So we are still collecting feedback for this location. And there's an engage page, which I'm sure someone is going to drop in the chat here very soon. And so if you're not familiar, please check it out. Leave comments. The feedback for that is still open. And then lastly is Muriel and 10th Street, which is on the South Side Flats. And this actually kind of overlaps with the Second Ave corridor connector project that I had discussed previously. This is one that we took the opportunity to upgrade the bike facility and the intersection on Muriel Street to better get you onto 10th Street Bridge. And so those markings are actually already out there, but the signal component is still forthcoming. And so that signal will be upgraded with all of our standard features. And if you don't know what the standard features are, I could do a whole 20 minutes just on that, but I definitely recommend you check out the traffic signal engage page, which has a really good landing /page for different attributes and more information about Muriel and 10th Street. And then last but not least, I'm going to turn it over to Jan to talk about the Strip District.
Hey everybody, my one slide to shine. We've got obviously coming on the heels of the Penn Ave right sizing project. Penn Ave right sizing project last year. This year it'll be 3 years since our last Strip District mobility open house. We're putting these slides together, finishing up this afternoon, and then shortly after sending them over to Seth, heard that we're going to be hosting that open house with Strip District neighbors on April 29th. So if you want to hold that day or afternoon, evening on your calendars, we'll be sharing information about that very soon. But we'll be kind of reintroducing some projects that have fallen off the radar, introducing some new projects, hopefully bringing in some partners to talk about all of the, mobility projects that are happening in the Strip District. There's other entities there River Life, Friends of the Riverfront, all also are working on various projects in the area. So we're hoping to bring some partners in as well. But yeah, mainly Liberty Ave HSIP, the Highway Safety Improvement Program, that has gone relatively quiet as it moves through final design and permitting, etc. But that's going to be going to construction next year. So just want to reintroduce folks to that before then. The Penn Ave right sizing was sort of phase one of a larger Penn Ave signals improvement project that will sort of codify some of those changes and also make some traffic signal improvements. And then looking to kick off some planning work for the Smallman Street Complete Street. And yeah, that's all I've got, and we'll share more information about the event and the location very soon.
So that wraps us up. Thanks everyone for bearing with me while I just talk at you. But now is the opportunity for question and answer. I'm assuming Seth, do you want to lead that?
Yes, I can. If you want to take your slides down, then I can easily see folks in
Yes.
gallery view. You can put them back if you need to, if you want to show somebody something in particular. But folks, if you have a question for our friends at DOMI, please raise your hand. While you are thinking about that, we have a couple from the chat. One is a simple one from Mary. It's an invitation. Can someone come to Squirrel Hill Bike Ped Committee to discuss the Shenley Park connections?
Yes, I'm nodding yes because Jan will say yes. I think once the RAD project really gets off the ground, I'm sure there will be numerous opportunities, and one of those could be at the Squirrel Hill Bike Ped Coalition.
Yeah, Squirrel Hill already has a collection of connections in Shenley Park that would really like to see that may not be obvious.
Yeah, no, I think there will be definitely opportunity there to get down to all the nitty gritty because there is a lot happening and there's a lot of connections through that area. So more to come.
I have material I can email you. I have Jan's address. If I mail it to Jan and say share it with you, can I get it to both of you that way?
Yep, you're welcome to send it my way, and I'll make sure it gets the right person.
Okay, thanks.
Sean's here presenting, but I don't know, Sean, that you're definitely the PM for that project. I don't know if that's been officially assigned yet, but I'll make sure it gets the right person, Mary, at the right time.
Okay, I will send you some materials. Thank you. And great presentation. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
It's Marshall from the Shuck Bike Ped Committee with Mary. I just want to thank Mary for bringing that up and you for setting it up. And we'll arrange for you to come at a meeting. Thanks.
Thanks, Marshall. Nancy, did you have your question answered about crash data, or was there more that you wanted to ask about there? Nancy Hirsch. Wherever you are. You might not be with us anymore. Okay, thumbs up. We're good. David also had most of his question answered about which department is responsible for maintenance of bike facilities, including sweeping and snow removal. That would be DPW, but there is a standing question. Is maintenance money allocated for these projects regarding sweeping, snow removal, etc.?
I don't want to mislead anyone because I don't represent DPW and I don't know I am not involved with their maintenance budget. I know that we have had a lot of coordination with Public Works to make sure that they know what the facility type is and what sort of the parameters are, and working to sort of make sure they have the right equipment to do maintenance for these types of projects that we're doing. And that's been an ongoing conversation. I think Bike Pittsburgh has also been involved in some of that coordination as well. So I can't talk figures or values related to maintenance, but I know that those conversations are occurring.
Excellent. Thank you. Alex asks if there are any updates on the Liberty Ave Bloomfield Bridge intersection redesign.
You know my soft spot. That's my project. More to come. We had a bit of a funding gap there, and there was just a recent announcement, if you were checking the right press releases, that more money was allocated for that, and so we're working on making everything to come together, and get everything executed for those grants, and then launching the project. So stay tuned, please.
Excellent. Thanks. And Mary also asked earlier, this is about the transit improvement program, transit stop improvement program. Will you be consistent about whether the bike lane is between the shelter and the bus or behind the shelter? The two examples look different on the slide. Bus riders would benefit from consistency.
That is a valid, good point. Mostly it's dependent on space constraint. Stanton Avenue is a narrower roadway as compared to Liberty. We have a lot more space to work with on Liberty, and so I think there's a lot more sidewalk and frontage zone too on Liberty with tree pits and street furniture, and so I don't believe there was enough space to fit the shelter behind the bike lane, and so we had enough space to move it into the island. And so along Liberty Avenue, I would venture a guess that if we were to do these at other locations, it would be the same typology. But Stanton is different, and that's mostly from a space constraint. So I hope that answers the question.
Thanks, Sean. Let's see. David asks, will there be, or is there already, a post-construction analysis of the stripped district Penn Ave bike lanes? For example, bike counts before and after, crash data before and after, needed adjustments, etc.
Sean, I'll take this one. This is something we've been thinking about how to include in the Strip District Mobility Open House. It's very early to do a full analysis. Our crash data comes from PennDOT. We won't even have the full year of data for 2025 until a couple months from now. And so it takes a little bit of time, especially for crash data, but I know we're working on what analysis we can do about the project, kind of marking the period between installation and that community meeting. It won't really be the end all be all or the final, judging of the success of that project, but anecdotally, we've heard a lot from, business owners there, that it has stopped a lot of tire squealing and braking when, there's cross traffic and stuff like that. So the initial anecdotes are that it's reduced some of the conflicts, but hope to be able to share more at the upcoming open house.
Jan, I have one data point. Doino architecture firm is where I one of the intersections, and before and after they've been tracking how many horns they hear every single day. They have a board and they put a check mark every day. And then after the bike lanes went in, the horns, the number of horns they tracked dropped significantly. So if there's any use of their data, feel free to contact them.
I'll be reaching out for sure.
Put that on.
Maybe they can host the board. Yeah, they'll take they can present their data.
This is a question back for Sean. I think it's Nancy Hirsch notes about the speeding problem up and down Troy Hill Road and that it's getting worse. But the bigger question is, what are the steps to get some kind of traffic calming? She mentions portable speed alerts in particular, but there is a process for folks to share about traffic calming needs and issues. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a sort of multi-step approach because the need and the number of requests that we receive far outpace what we can deliver. So just to give you context, we have, I think, right now there have been 2,200 individual requests for traffic calming across our 90 neighborhoods. And so because of that, we've had to institute this eligibility criteria and prioritization so that we know where to focus our efforts. There's a lot on our website related to that, and I'll just highlight a couple attributes, which is primarily we're trying to do this on local residential streets, and make sure that the speed is great enough to sort of, and unfortunately I'm going to use this traffic engineering term, warrant speed humps, and a demonstrated crash history. I know Troy Hill Road has been requested for traffic calming. I do believe that it is technically eligible, but there is a caveat in the grade of the road is a little bit steeper than what we, I think, normally do for traffic calming. And there's also the added lens of it is on the Bike Plus plan. And so we wanted to make, I think that's one that we want to make sure that we treat with care when it comes to doing a project. And I know that speed humps or tables there would still make a more comfortable bike connection, but we also want to make sure that we don't just leave it at that and see if we could do a bicycle climbing lane. We don't have plans to do that right now, but that is something that is in the mix always. And so I'm trying to give you like a better outlet than that right now, but that one we haven't had a lot of movement on.
And just a quick follow-up question from Nancy: could modular speed tables be used? I assume that's like the temporary type speed tables.
Yeah, we've only just started deploying those, and the first ones went in about a week ago, and that was as a result of the Penn Avenue Phase 2 detour. And so the modular ones are slowly becoming part of our arsenal, but it's mostly related to detours and not necessarily a permanent install. And so this is a evolving aspect. And so that could be one of our tools in the future.
Excellent. Ben, you have your hand up, and then I think that's going to be our last question.
Hey, Seth, I'm here. Hello.
Hey, John, we're gonna hear from Ben Singleton first, and then we do have to transition over to our next presenters.
Hello. Hi, Ben joining from the Strict District. I guess got a, kind of general question for all the projects. So is there consideration of how they're going to connect? Because we're getting bike lanes on this street and that street and on the bridge, 28th Street Bridge, but going forward, is that going to be an explicit part to make sure the new projects connect to the old, or is it maybe going to be smaller additions after they're all in?
Jan, do you? I mean, I can take that. Yeah, the Strip District, as far as bike connectivity, all of the planning efforts are integrated for that to make sure that the Penn Avenue right sizing was to get you inbound going towards town, with Smallman Street, Complete Street, which is one of the projects that we talked about at the open house, is looking at maybe coming outbound, going back up towards Lawrenceville. The 28th Street is more of a bridge project that will have some attributes. I cannot recall off the top of my head if that includes bike facilities, but there is a larger planning effort for the Strip District that is sort of multi-phased. And so recommend you come to the open house on the 29th of April to learn all the details.
Thanks, Sean. John, if we could have your 2-sentence question,
Very
we can
quick
squeeze it in.
Very quick question. Hello, guys. So we're restarting the West End Bike Ped Committee. I'm right over the West End right now. It's beautiful on the Emerald View Trail. My very brief question: you talked about Lorenz Avenue. Does that include the city staircase, which is a wooden staircase up to the Wymore Street, which continually falls in disrepair because it's made of wood, and right now needs some repair? I'm just wondering if the staircases are included in that.
The staircases are not included as part of our Lorenz Ave traffic calming scope, but I will make a note for those steps and see where they are on our maintenance list, or repair list and see where that falls. And then I also want to make sure that this was documented in the West End mobility plan that was just, sort of put
In
together.
general, we need maintenance of our city staircases because they're overlooked, but they're quite vital. I mean, you don't hear from all the kids that go out to play basketball and baseball because they're, kids in school without cars. But I see them, deteriorate every year. I live right below them, and it's something ongoing. And I hope that can be part of bike ped. I really do. Is people need to walk too, and climb these staircases.
Agreed. I'm going to make a note for Lorenz specifically. Thanks for sharing that.
Like Elbon too. Elbon and Lorenz. Sorry. Elbon's very critical. So
thanks, John.
Thank you.
And thank you, Steve, Sean, and Jan. Yeah, thank you both so much. Thanks for great questions, everybody. This is our third year doing this, and it is always so informative and really helps kind of get us primed for the year and know what to look forward to, and also how we can help you and give feedback most effectively, because we can kind of start our gears turning and how everything connects together. So let's have some thumbs up and hand claps and all the other emoji in the reactions and etc. for our friends at DOMI. Really appreciate your time here today. I know you are welcome to hop. You're welcome to stay on if you want. You're welcome to hop off. So if you hop off, goodbye. We'll see you later. For
Thanks,
now, we
everybody.
are going to switch over to our friends at Michael Baker International. They are assisting PennDOT with the construction management and public outreach for the I-376 East project where the Commercial Street Bridge is being replaced. PennDOT has asked them to present some information to us tonight. We thought this would be a good forum to share some of that information. So we're going to start with, we have Jim Foringer and Carrie Oram. Jim is a senior construction project manager with Michael Baker, retired from PennDOT in 2020, served as the District 11 construction engineer from 2006 to 2018. And with his 10 bikes, he feels he relates well to our organization and appreciates all of our efforts. And Carrie Oram is a senior public engagement specialist with Michael Baker, serves as an extension of PennDOT's outreach and communications team. She's passionate about connecting communities to projects happening in their areas and making complex information, this is that, accessible to the public. So thank you both for being here. Take it away.
Thanks, Seth. Hopefully you can see me and my screen and everything.
We sure can.
Hear me good, so I got that figured out. So I'm Jim Foringer. With us also is Vince Golo, a technician on the project that's worked on some city projects, and also Yasmin Manisha from PennDOT's on the line too, the press officer. So excited to talk to you. And as far as sticking with your theme for the visually impaired, I do have a black eye from a tumble I took while hiking. So, and I'm a 63-year-old guy is how I'll say it. So again, we're excited to talk to you about the Commercial Street Bridge project, and it is very exciting for all of us. We're going to give you a quick project summary, update of where the project is, the timelines, and I go over the detour routes. And the extensive public outreach that we've been performing is our reason for talking to all of you tonight. So to put it in perspective where it is, so it's a $95 million project. Fay S&B USA is the contractor, HDR from downtown was the designer. Michael Baker is doing CMCI support, construction management, construction inspection. It's funded by Federal Highway, and it's a PennDOT District 11 project is the owner, and they're managing the project overall. So the project is over Frick Park, just east of the Squirrel Hill Tunnel, and kind of adjacent to the old Irish Center. So a lot of you maybe have been wondering, are we relocating it if you've been driving past there or even riding your bike underneath it? We're building a new bridge. We're actually building the bridge off alignment, and we're not realigning the parkway. So we're going to actually have a full parkway closure and demolish the existing bridge and slide the new bridge into place laterally. So what this actually does for the travelers in the community, if PennDOT had not been doing it this way, it would have taken like 4 years of lane closures and changes and traffic movements and impacts. So this is going to be done in 25 days, and we'll give you more details on that. And to put it in perspective, the bridge weighs 22 million pounds. So it's a lot of extra expense, PennDOT's spending, and the best technology that's out there. So the project updates here, you can see the structural steel that was completed back in February. So we're in the process of forming the bridge deck. So the entire bridge deck is going to be on the bridge also. And currently Commercial Street is reopened. And so that's kind of the status of where we are now. The project timeline. So we started back in structural steel last summer. We completed that, and then the foundations. What we have to do is, after we get the bridge deck on, we actually have to perform a small temporary slide to make sure all the equipment is working before we shut the parkway down and implode the parkway. And I'll give you the exact dates here, but then we'll be closing the parkway for that 25 days. And then we'll be doing cleanup and restoration under the bridge. So those folks that go under the bridge, it's going to be fully restored, and there's probably close to a year of restoration work done under the bridge, and will be completed next June. So future traffic restrictions. So I mentioned that Commercial Street, which includes the 9-mile run trail. So we're going to be closing it in June sometime. We'll probably close it for maybe a day or two to do that temporary slide, and then reopen. So the contractor's working with the department to keep it open as much as possible. We realize what a vital link it is, and how many bike users and hikers are using the trails out there. And so then we have to do cleanup and reopen in mid-August. We're hoping to beat that date. The dates for all of you, the most important dates for the traveling public, and when it's going to be shut down, is July 10th to August 3rd. So those, we're going to say they're tentative, but we're on schedule right now to make those dates. And, unless there's some unforeseen that we're not aware of, we'll be shutting down the parkway and detouring the parkway 100,000 cars a day. So what do those detour routes look like? So we recognize that they're not ideal detours. So the green, yellow, and blue alternate detours you see there, we're trying to encourage folks, the through travelers, to use the alternate detour routes. And that's, up to stay on the turnpike, go up to 79, come down 79. Or get off at 28 if you're still coming into Pittsburgh and just want to route around, or even down through the south across 48 and across through McKeesport over to West Mifflin. Zooming in on the project site. So again, we're closed right there, the project area. The Commercial Street detour is shown in blue. So the purple detour is the interstate detour. So it's basically from Forbes Avenue on the west side to Wilkinsburg exit on the east side. So the detour is, coming westbound, you get off Penn Avenue up to Fifth Avenue through Oakland, and then back down Fifth Avenue and that slip ramp back down onto the Boulevard of the Allies, and vice versa coming eastbound. The local detour shown there in the pink is actually getting off right at Squirrel Hill, going down Beechwood Boulevard, Browns Hill, making a left and going out 8th Avenue, 837, back across the Rankin Bridge, back up Braddock Avenue and getting on the Parkway eastbound at Route 30. So again, these detours aren't, ideal, but we're going to man them. The other thing that I'm not showing for the sake of time, there's some associated ramp closures. So the Bates Street on-ramp heading eastbound will be closed. The coming out the Boulevard of the Allies will be closed to get down onto the Parkway. So they'll have to go on to Forbes Avenue and go out the detour. And then coming westbound, there's an on-ramp out at Churchill that's going to be closed. People will just have to continue on down Penn Avenue. And then there's an on-ramp westbound out there that will be closed coming from Route 30 because there's no sense in them getting on whenever they just have to get back off and detour. The police locations, and we've been working with the city and with DOMI. So these are the locations we've identified, but we know that's a lot of off-duty police officers to staff. So we do have them prioritized. So we're really prioritizing the interstate and the local detour route, not the other areas through the communities. We want folks to use the detour routes and not jam up the neighborhoods is our hope. And these major detours like this, we'll be reacting once it's closed also and looking at pinch points and what can we do to improve the workflow. The intersections along the interstate detour route, we've been working with DOMI very closely. They're upgrading other signals to make them operate more efficiently with timing and so that they can even adjust those timings during the closure. But this is actually from your interactive maps, so that just to kind of help put it in perspective. You have a lot of bike routes and dedicated lanes at the cities, and you all have done a great job of putting in place. So that just sort of puts it in perspective. And I just want to make you aware. I don't know, Seth, if there's something we can help you communicate with your members to communicate maybe their optional routes and where these heavy pinch points are going to be. We've done extensive coordination with emergency services. We've had 2 incident management meetings. We'll be having a 3rd one. The one thing that's out of that, I'm going to go back here a second. So with the city of Pittsburgh, the contractor is going to provide an extra UTV for emergency services. So there's one on each side of the closure during that closure because of the trail users that have shared with us. There have been some pretty serious accidents. And again, they're doing some other staging for responses. We're meeting with Chief of Police Cogs in the Mon Valley Emergency Services. We've met with the UPMC hospital folks for their services, so they're aware. So we've been doing extensive coordination with them. The other thing I just wanted to show you how much is involved. And this is an aerial view before all the structural steel was set. But why it's important, if you know trail users, and quite honestly, that's why I think I can relate. I've honestly walked through places that I shouldn't, or ridden my bike through places that I shouldn't, right? And just that's, I don't know, just kind of a natural tendency, right? So this area is not going to be safe when we close, and I'm going to show you why. So it really is not safe to go under this bridge after the closure. So we have lots of pre-shutdown activities, again, with the EMS, layout. We're going to be drilling holes for the explosives because we will be imploding the bridge. A lot of wrapping. They have to hang some counterweights off of. And this next really shows the bridge is. We're going to start from the inside out. But you can see down here along Commercial Street, there's going to be equipment installing pier protections, counterweights that have to be hung to make the existing bridge structurally safe while they demo it. And they're going to be starting from the center of the bridge out each direction with conventional demolition. So they're going to be having big hoe ram equipment and jackhammers up there. And they're going to be actually dropping concrete down below. So that'll be flying everywhere. So it's not going to be safe to be anywhere close to this bridge. And then here's for the implosion that I mentioned. So we have roughly an 800-foot safety blast zone. So you can see there's going to be 16 folks stationed around there to secure this blast zone to make sure nobody's in it. And that means everybody with the project, because this is where, they're anticipating the air blast and debris possibly, although they're wrapping it to try to limit the amount of debris that's flying. We've already talked with the park rangers. They'll be up on the trails, blocking the trails off so folks don't come down. And we know in the past from Greenfield that folks try to sneak down through the woods, right? So one thing we have set up, EMS is going to help us with their infrared drones, and we will not set that blast off until it's clear. So the day of the blast, again, establishing that safety perimeter, running the checks. It's the blaster. They take control of the area. They set the blast off. Nobody goes into that area until they've verified all the explosives that have gone off. So there's a lot of coordination and safety procedures put in place for the blast. The post blast, we're dropping it down below, so we'll still be down there with the equipment, continuing to rubblize and clear the area. The priority is to clear the area where we have to slide the bridge into. And then they'll also be trying to clear Commercial Street to get it back open. And then some of the approach spans, they're not going to implode. They'll be actually still dropping and knocking over some of the columns on some of the approach spans. And then obviously we'll slide the new bridge into place. This is where I forgot I had this in here actually. So this is the incident meeting locations for our folks on the job. So 911 knows how if we need access, if we have an accident on the job, but also this is where they're going to be staging the UTVs on, we'll have one staged on the south side by 9 Mile Run, and then the park rangers will be on the north side if they need any emergency rescue. Our outreach coordination, I could probably talk the entire time about how much outreach we've been trying to do. So again, we thank you for the opportunity to come and talk to you. So we have project handouts and we also have a website, but we've been doing coordination with PRT, again, with the emergency services, with DOMI. We're reaching out to all the trucking firms, all the major vendors in the area. We've talked to the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership. So again, just ask all of you if you can help get the word out to your friends and family of the date of the closure. There again, July 10th to the 26th. 511, you see the logo there. We will have information posted on 511. 511 during the closure will have active travel times for the detours on 511. So we're encouraging folks to use 511 in lieu of the other mapping services. Again, this is the back of the handout. You can see there's a QR code there. So the pa.gov/Commercial Street is PennDOT's website. We're encouraging everybody to go to the transit, including Westmoreland Transit, to try to carpool or use the park and ride services to try to get cars off the road. Every car we can get off will help with the detour routes. And then this is the website. We're doing okay on time. So this just sort of shows you the website. Again, we have all this information. There's FAQs on the website. There's the maps, the handouts. We have toolkits we'll touch on. Yasmin's press releases and everything. And then the FAQs. And then you can also submit a comment or a question there, and it'll go to our resource account and we will get back to you. And again, there's the artist rendering of what it's going to look like upon completion. The other thing, you can change the language on the website. So we think that's a great feature. And we will be, the handouts that I showed, we will be converting them into Spanish and making them available also. On the toolkits that I mentioned, so we're actually having flyers, social posts, newsletter content, the detour maps, even emails that businesses can send to their employees, making them aware of it, and suggested website content for folks. And then if we have time here at the end, Carrie will pull up and show it in a little bit more detail. And then social media. So we want to encourage you to join PennDOT's Facebook group, which is the Greater Pittsburgh Area PennDOT. So that'll have everything PennDOT related in the area, but it'll include Commercial Street Bridge and all their other projects also. And then on X also, they have that set up also. So I know that was quick. So if we want to answer questions, Seth, or if we want Carrie to show you the toolkit a little more.
Yeah, let's take a couple of questions here. We from Mary asks a question that's also on my mind is, are you contacting Google Maps and other mapping services to discourage them from giving drivers shortcuts, especially shortcuts through neighborhoods?
We have already talked to them and reached out. The PennDOT did them personally. Unfortunately, they don't have the ability to do that the way their algorithm works. So it's just going to map if a road is open. So what we are kind of a backup plan because of those neighborhoods, we are going to have some road closed, local traffic only signs available that we will put up and then possibly send a closure out to those services that close that road. But, we don't want, we're trying to keep everybody mobile to get through the communities. So that's one of those things we're going to have to play by ear. We were hoping to be able to do that and get them to map folks onto the detour, but they say they can't do that.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go for it, Jack.
Yeah, full disclosure, I work for Mapbox, which is one of these players. Is there a contact email that I can follow up with you to communicate this to the company internally and then see what we can do to make it easier for you?
Yeah, that would be great. We would love to hear that. Seth, can you get Jack my email?
Sure, I will get Jack your email.
Okay. So and then we would love to hear from you, Jack, but again, that's what we had been told. So
thank you.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I don't forget that. I have it written down. We had Jack, you had another question too.
That was the same train
That
of
was
thought.
it. Okay, great. Love that. And then there was a fun question that again I also have is, can you share a date in any safe viewing locations for the bridge implosion?
Unfortunately, there isn't. You go back, there's, because it's down in a valley. So there's, even all of us, even the folks in the industry, right, that are wanting to come out, there's a very small viewing area up above the Irish Center is where the blaster is going to be with the all clear. We'll definitely make sure we get it recorded. We'll have, plan on having a drone in the air and recording it to share with folks.
Great. Yeah, I live very, very nearby over in Swissvale, so I'm kind of excited about it.
So I can promise you, you'll hear it, right? You just,
yes.
Again, we want to keep everybody safe. I've been in this industry for 40 years, and I've heard of folks that were out of the blast zone that have gotten killed by flying debris hitting them in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a serious operation for sure.
One other question from myself, which I think you touched on briefly, but my understanding is that PRT is going to be running more buses on a number of routes in order to handle the really to encourage people to not drive into the city. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've been in half a dozen discussions with them already. So we're looking at so they had actually a big ridership drop off with their park and rides after COVID, and they downsized some of their park and ride lots. So we're actually looking at increasing Beulah Church out along Old William Penn Highway out in Churchill, and also increasing the available spots out of Monroeville Mall. and that's the route, the 67 and P67 flyer
Yeah.
that they're priority to put more service on.
Okay.
And then we know that coming up Route 30 in Forest Hills has a lot of spaces available right now. And also the Wilkinsburg Park and Ride, although that's kind of on the detour.
Got it. We don't have time to dig into the toolkits, but maybe there's a quick answer related here. A lot of us care a lot about traffic calming. A lot of us are very concerned about speeding. You've already heard us, share concerns about people cutting through our neighborhoods. What is the best way for us to, we know our neighborhoods really well, and we know what happens when detours come through, right? So what is the best way for people here to share their local knowledge with you in hopes that you might be able to be proactive about ensuring safety in our neighborhoods? Or if we see issues happening as the closure starts, who do we send emails to or share thoughts with?
So it's that resource account. Let me share my screen and go back, okay?
Sure.
And then we'll just let folks make sure so right here is the resource account,
Got it.
st project at pa.gov. So they can send those concerns. We'd love to have them, and we'll look at those. So they can send them now. That's actually up and active, and that'll be the same contact during the closure. They could call 1-800-FIX-ROADS and leave a message, and we can get back through them through that also. But the account is preferred for us.
Got it. That's helpful because I live right on one of those streets that is parallel to South Braddock. That's going to be that local detour that I have a hunch people are just going to be. I'm not so concerned about the high volume when it's bumper to bumper traffic. I'm more concerned when it's slightly lower volume and people have the leeway to start speeding through the neighborhood. So I know a number of us are probably thinking about that as well, especially as we're cycling as well, considering sharing the space with a lot more drivers during that time.
So Seth, the other thing that I didn't touch on, so we are going to put on Ardmore Boulevard before Penn Avenue is Franklin.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to put we're going to extend that left turn lane and for buses so that they can run down Franklin to get to the busway faster with some of the traffic. So we had looked at some other options with them. So we're going to do that also. And quite honestly, I'll tell you the other thing that I think there's going to be times it's going to be the exact opposite, that the cyclists are going to have to force themselves to not ride between lanes of traffic and down between traffic, that are jammed up and parked cars, that they should be moving with traffic, right?
Right.
And I know that's going to be, that would be my concern too for their safety.
Yeah. So everybody, we're going to have to be extra vigilant. There are going to be a lot more cars on the roads, confused drivers, probably impatient and frustrated drivers on the roads from those dates. So you'll be hearing more from Bike Pittsburgh about that as we get closer, of course. And Jim and Carrie and others, I know we're already in some communication with you about how to make sure that our people know as best as possible. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Seth. And
thank you for the presentation.
Carrie will get you those toolkits if you want to take a look at them, and if you want some other information or some other graphics or something, you can let us know. We'll work with you to get those.
Yeah, Carrie, if you can email those to me, I will make sure to send them in the follow-up email because I would like to make sure that all of our neighborhood advocate leaders here in the room today can have those and then can spread them out and share them with their people because, for every person you see here, there's another 10, 20, 30 plus folks in their neighborhood who they're connected with. So if you get those to me, I will get them out to our leaders here today and beyond.
Fantastic. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you. And Jack, we'll definitely look forward to talking to you about the mapping services.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is an important connection. Um, all right, folks. Yeah, if you have more questions, please feel free to pass them on to me. We can get them to the right people. I am going to share my screen now for some Bike Pittsburgh updates and announcements. We have a lot of exciting stuff going on. Actually, before I even start here, I wanted to pass it over to Eric. I'll hop off screen share again for a second. You were supposed to start with our Bike Pittsburgh updates.
Sorry, I was I was trying to find my my little prompt for the event. Oh, there it is. Okay. Um, hey everybody. Um, that was a great presentation. So glad to hear all that that's coming up. We got some brief updates. One thing I wanted to mention first and foremost is that, and this might be the first place that we're announcing it, we're going to be doing a new bike ride on May 30th. It's going to be called the Spring Picnic. It's on May 30th. It's going to start and end at Frick Environmental Center. We're still figuring out details, and we haven't announced like a sign up link yet. But a big part of it is that we just want to be able to really highlight a lot of the bike ped infrastructure that everybody in this room has helped work on to help move the needle forward for a safe and connected bike network. So we really want this to be like a really celebratory sort of like collective commitment to safer streets. And it is a fundraiser for us. It's going to be it's going to be like a much shorter ride, but also a lot cheaper than Pedal Pittsburgh. So it's going to start and end at the Frick Environmental Center in Squirrel Hill. There's going to be a picnic afterwards, hot dogs, I think hopefully veggie dogs. I'm vegetarian. It's going to be like I said, a shortish ride with marshals, rolling through a lot of the key infrastructure that we've all worked on throughout town. And then we're going to have just like sort of a relaxing time in Frick Park, hot dogs, lawn games. There's going to be a mobile sauna and cold plunge, and just sort of a hangout. Like you see on that slide, there's going to be a code for $5 off, $30 ticket for everybody here in our Bike Ped Committee network. Tickets will go on sale on April 1st. So, mark your calendars today. And we're going to follow up, especially with the Squirrel Hill folks, because this is in your backyard, and want to make sure that, you guys have a chance to represent there. If you have anything that you want to share or, put out into the world, talk to people about, etc., just be on the lookout for that. We're going to follow up afterwards, but, hopefully people can join us at this and just kind of hang out and talk shop and go on a bike ride. Seth, I don't have the prompts for any other updates I have. I don't have the agenda in front of me.
That's okay. You were going to mention briefly about 10 policy recommendations to the mayor,
Got
and
it.
I think that's the main thing.
Got it. Yeah, I couldn't remember at the moment off the top of my head. One other thing I wanted to briefly mention, and it's if Seth, if you can find that link really quick and drop it in there. We made 10 policy recommendations for the new mayor that hopefully you guys support and would love to look at. At the moment, there's no action alerts on it. We're really pushing for number one, recommitment to the Vision Zero policy of Mayor Gainey's. We know that the new mayor is supportive of Vision Zero and supportive of the overall concept, but we're just asking for like a recommitment from like a audible, whatever recommitment, however he decides to do that to the whole policy. And we think it's going to happen. But we think it's an important piece to move forward. Other things, sort of on the immediate timeline with that we're pushing for it is now 5 years past the 10-year, 5 years into the 10-year Bike Plus plan. So we're at the midpoint of the Bike Plus plan. So we're going to be pushing for and asking DOMI for a 5-year update to that plan. And I think we're getting started on that. I don't know if I see Ernie is here on the call, but that's something that, we're hoping to get accomplished this year, and I think we're on a good path for that. Sorry, Ernie, to put you on the spot there, but Ernie's with DOMI. Um, anyway, please take a look at that document, give us feedback. And just sort of just wanting people to know about, our agenda, at least for for the new administration and the upcoming year or so. Thanks, Seth.
Awesome. Thank you. Couple other quick announcements. It's capital budget time. If you're, a leader with a bike ped committee, you're getting some emails from me to remind you that it's time to start thinking about this. If you want support, please reach out. I just put some resources in the chat, including our new training. I do have a form in there if you do have any questions or thoughts or ideas you want to share with me. I welcome you to do that. And we have a number of additional events coming up. We're getting into spring. We're getting into time to do all the fun stuff. So for those of you who have heard about our Safe Sidewalks crew, this is our initiative to record data about every single sidewalk in the city of Pittsburgh. We do want you to help us with this. We need a lot of volunteers to cover this much ground. We have a training coming up on March 26th at 6 p.m. And then we have two of what we're calling Safe Sidewalks crew neighborhood blitzes or neighborhood walks in West Oakland on March 28th and April 11th. You do not have to have prior training to come to those. Just come by, get some snacks. We're going to cover as much as we can. In a neighborhood, you'll get a very rapid training as part of that. And a couple of other things. I will send this in the follow-up email. I'm going to drop it in the chat now too, but we would love, love, love for you all to be part of this work and help us get some good data in your neighborhoods, which we think will be able to support your advocacy. For some reason, I couldn't include the links because Zoom was having a hard time, so I'll send them in the follow-up email. Also, this is very relevant to all of you who really have your heads in the weeds of neighborhood advocacy. We are not doing our full day advocacy skills training that some of you have participated in. We are breaking it up into smaller parts this year. Our next module is on April 21st. That is focused on identifying who are the people who have the power to make the decisions that need to be made for the change that you want, and how do you influence them. We're going to use a tool called power mapping. This will be on April 21st at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the East Liberty Library in person. This is a really good one to be in person because you're going to be doing some mapping and creating and drawing and arrows and all sorts of fun things. So it's really nice for us to be able to see those together in person and talk it through and strategize together. You will walk away with clarity about who is the person who you need to be talking to and how do you get to them. So it's a really good training. Definitely recommend joining us for that. We've got a lot more coming up. Our next advocacy network gathering will be about using walk audits and bike audits to make change. A lot of you have asked me for that. And how can we do that? And there's a lot more coming up. And then just some additional save the dates. These are things that happen every year, but we have our Bike to Work Day on May 14th. We have our next advocacy social. Come have a beer with us and some snacks and hang out on Thursday, June 18th. Open Streets happening twice this year, June 28th, July 26th. And then, of course, Pedal Pittsburgh on Sunday, August 30th. We're going to do our second annual advocacy advocates ride as part of Pedal Pittsburgh. We had a lot of fun with folks last year where we just brought people together from our advocacy network and did the ride together. I think we did the kind of the middle route. And we made some really good connections, had a really good time. Invite you to join us for that as well. And I'll just close with, I think you're all probably members already, but if you're not, this is such an important, meaningful way to contribute to Bike Pittsburgh and contribute to the work that we're doing together to help us help you do the advocacy that is so important for making the change for safer streets in your community. So whether it's $5 or anything more, or frankly $1, we would love, love, love your support. You get some really good perks through that as well. So please consider becoming a member of Bike Pittsburgh. It matters. It helps. And the last thing, a few things that I'll share is some links here. We have the membership info, of course. We have a Slack. If you're not yet on it, you can join and communicate with fellow advocates on that platform. And then I have a survey that I would love it for you to just open right now. Click that last link. and then take a few minutes after you hop off and let me know what you get out of this. Of course, the feedback is helpful, and just knowing who's participating in this and who's being part of it actually helps us communicate to funders who is benefiting from the work that we're doing and who's getting some things out of it. So that it really goes a long way to help us show the impact of our work. So that feedback survey, please take it. I'll be sending you a follow-up email with all of the details. Eric and I are going to hang around for a few more minutes. If you have any additional questions or want to talk shop for a minute, we're here. But otherwise, thank you as always for being part of this awesome network of advocates making a huge impact in our community. And yeah, we'll see you out in the streets. Looking forward to nice weather here.
Yeah, thanks for coming tonight, everybody.
Seth.